reminds us, sorry, of another skill that we took. So this skill over here reminds us of a skill we took before. So remember when we talked about noun clauses? So remember we talked about noun clauses? We said that sometimes, let me say, the connector could be the subject in the noun clauses, remember? All right. Now last time we discussed adjective clauses. Remember these? These were adjective clauses over here. These sentences, as you see, like I like the book. I want to describe the book, not with a word, the book. Okay, I can say I like the red book, the book on history, something. We can do something like that. This is a way to modify a noun or to describe it. There are in a prepositional phrase also works to modify, we say, or describe, not necessarily with an adjective, sometimes something, right? But you can also describe a noun by using what we said, an adjective clause, right? And we do it in Arabic as well, so it's easy to understand because in our language, alhamdulillah, we also do this, right? So I liked the book which you recommended. أحببت الكتاب الذي أوصيتني يعني فيه, or like you told me about it, advised me about it, or you mentioned it or something like that, but in a positive way, all right? That book that you mentioned in a positive way, all right? Because when I say I like the book, and sometimes I don't clarify or modify, the information, let me say, or the, what kind of book or what book I'm talking about, maybe the listener, if the listener, does not understand the context, or the listener is somebody who has so many issues, and then, of course, even though he's recommended the book, could have forgotten what you're talking about, mostly if you speak out of context, you're not talking about, you're not in a conversation about the book, all right? Something of that kind. So it's good to do things like that. Like I said, guys, to describe something, there are different ways to do it. Our lesson was about, using adjective clauses to describe nouns. And we said that nouns could be in different, places in the sentence, right? We talked about those places. Now, as you can see, the connector here is a connector that is not the same as the subject over here, right? Yeah. So we're going to now talk about adjective clauses, just like when we talked about the adjective clauses, which are nouns, okay, and connectors at the same time. Now, adjective clauses where the connector and the subject are one. Here, they're not one, as you can see, which you recommended. Of course, guys, why would there be separate, let me say, connector and subject? Because of the meaning that I want to say as a speaker, guys. It depends on what you want to say. So sometimes we use adjective clauses without a subject because the connector itself is the subject over here, and we will exemplify or go through certain examples and in order to understand this better, okay? So I would just want to tell you guys something. Today we're going to take skill 12 in the structure section, but we're not going to take skill 13. Now, why I have made a decision why we're not going to take skill 13, and I did this also with the previous classes that I taught, because skill 13 is very long and it doesn't work with skill 12, which will take some time today from us, okay? So what I do is that when we have long skills like this, which are just a few really, okay? I choose to do a long skill and a short skill. So we're not going to do structure skills because we just have 13, 14, I think, and we're done with structure skills. We're going to move on to the first written expression skill today, which I think is 16. Let's take a look just quickly just to make sure if it's 16 together. See, so this is 14. Then we have here, 12. Then we have 13. See that you reduced adjective clauses. This is also a skill, but it's very long, as you can see. Then we have 14, reduced adverb clauses, okay? We're going to learn how to reduce. Usually the reduction is very popular, guys, in spoken English, okay? Yeah. And we will talk about it. So they take long a little bit to understand, to comprehend, to like work on. So we're going to move on to this. which is a written expression skill. It's called sentences with inverted subjects and verbs. We're going to skip this section because it summarizes like several skills, like 15, 16, 17. So no need for that. Let's just directly go to skill 15 right after, the skill that we're going to be working on today. Invert the subject and the verb with question words. So this is not a tough skill. I think it's one that you know. Inversion means to exchange the subject and the verb. So with questions words, like when, we exchange the subject and the verb. This is what we're going to work on, okay? Because when I looked at, let me say, the skills, I know they're time consuming. And in order not to do just one skill, this is what we're going to do today, okay, guys? Just to get you to, I'm just trying to explain why I made this decision, nothing else but that. By the way, the following skills are the most difficult for students that I usually teach TOEFL, okay? But don't put this in mind, think of yourself as somebody who is, who has a unique method of learning, and inshallah, there will be a piece of cake for you, all right? Anyway, we today are going to talk about what adjective, clause, connector, subjects. We talked about this. I'm sorry. I think we're going to move on to 13. Isn't that true? Isn't this what we're going to do? We're going to do 13 now, which is this. To use, oh, I'm sorry. We didn't do that one, right? Did we do it? Why am I, Did we do 12, guys?
Sure, I think no.
Okay.
لا دكتورة ما بلشنا فيها.
لا, we didn't.
For me, sometimes I kind of, noun clause connectors, subjects, 10. We did 11. Adjective
11.
Okay, yeah,
12, no.
Yeah, because 11 and 12 are similar, but with a difference. Remember what we said? The difference is that, we have the connector and the subject, and then later on, we're not going to have connector subject. The connector is going to be the subject in the adjective clause. Okay, yeah, this is lesson. Here it is. Yeah, okay, I kind of. All right, skill 12, use adjective clause connector subjects. Why connector subjects? Because there adjective clause, okay, but there's a connector, and that connector itself is also the subject. And we want to learn how to do this correctly, okay? Because sometimes we might, not do it correctly. We want to learn some, some examples learn about some examples, that have this, clause, this type of clause in it, so that, from these examples, we learn how to use let me say, this kind of clause in our sentences, okay? Correctly, of course. So in skill 11, which is the previous one, guys, we saw that adjective clause connectors were used to introduce clauses, because a connector, a connector, like an adjective clause connector, like that, which, what are they? They're used to introduce clauses, right? Yeah. So this is what they are, what their job is, and what they're supposed to do. That describe nouns, of course. In skill 12, this skill, we will see that in some cases, an adjective clause, this is the adjective clause, as you can see, because it's describing the glass. Here, it describes the glass, okay? Is not just a connector, okay? So an adjective clause connector is not just a connector. An adjective clause connector can also be the subject of the clause at the same time. Okay, so it does two in one. Okay, look at this sentence. The woman is filling the glass. Forget about this, that and whatever it follows. Okay, the woman is filling the glass. Yani I'm looking at a woman in the kitchen and I say, well, why isn't she here? We just came in and we want her to sit with us and, have a conversation. Well, she can't sit with us. Do you know why? She's filling the glass, maybe with juice. We can say that, by the way, the woman is filling the glass with juice. Okay. So instead of, saying this sentence, we can say something else. But, when you have a sentence and I tell you deal with it, you have to know how to deal with it. Okay. But this person has decided to modify or to describe the glass that she's filling, okay? The woman is filling the glass. Which glass am I talking about? That is on the table. And maybe there's one on the table. That's why I said that is on the table. Maybe there are several in a tray. Tray means صينية, guys, you know, the one that with the thing that we use, the tool that we use to, you know, put cups on, and you know what, you know, like give, you know, people, you know, certain cups that have certain drinks in and so on, right? Yeah. Or serve, let's say. The word serve is better, اللي هو التقديم, to serve people, you know, some drinks or something of that kind, or coffee or whatever. Okay. So anyway, this is how you use it. Is it wrong? It's not. I'm talking about the glass that is on the table. All right. So usually, not always, huh? When there is a connector that does not have a subject here, a separate subject, it's because most of the times, not all the time, we have the verb to be. You will see that, you know, popularly, as they say. Okay. Look at this example. The glass, huh? يعني if you want to know what this means in Arabic, the woman is filling the glass. يعني المرأة عم بتعبي في الكاسة. أي كاسة؟ التي توجد على الطاولة. That is on the table. Okay, this is what the sentence means. Okay, remember, guys, you are not forced to use these sentences. You can make your own sentences, the ones that you want to use to describe the glass. For example, the woman is filling the red glass, the blue glass, the whatever, the glass I bought, see, or that I bought. Okay, so you can say things like that to describe, okay, with the glass or any other noun, I mean. But we're not here to tell you you can't, I mean like that you can't use another kind of sentence. No, we're here just to tell you these are sentences, look at them. And if you want to use, let me say, if you want to use an adjective clause, huh, sometimes you're going to go through these situations. So this is correct. This can be used. Learn it, use it, try it. If you hear it, you know it's right or wrong, things like that. Okay. Yeah. So here in the TOEFL book, you are learning different patterns in English, أنماط, okay, من الجمل, okay, that are used by native speakers in English, by people. Yani, if you really understand them, you will learn a lot about, you know, the structure of different kinds of English sentences. Okay. Yani, I can tell you this, that all the patterns are in these skills. All the patterns that you can ever think about are in these skills. Yani, there's really nothing more, you know, to add in terms of structure, من ناحية البناء, okay, in regard to sentences, okay? So they have used all these, you know, let me say, sentence patterns that are expressed and used by native speakers, and, you know, to, you know, give them to you as, you know, present them to you in as skills for you to understand, get to know, not make mistakes in, and so on, okay? Yeah. So anyway, let's go to the second example, the glass. Now, the adjective clause is going to describe the glass that is a subject, you know, not here an object like here, okay? Because over here is filling, is present continuous, right? Like she's in front of me, I'm watching her, she's doing something right now, which is filling the glass. Let's see this sentence, huh? It's in the present simple, as you can see. Imagine this is not here. Ignore this for a minute. The glass, الكاس, contains يحتوي على الحليب, contains milk. What does that cup contain? Oh, it contains milk. يحتوي على الحليب. All right? Okay, or it has, we can say the glass has milk in it. Okay, it means the same. So, which glass are you talking about? You know, somebody might ask, the glass, there are several. I mean, which one are you talking about? Oh, I'm talking about the glass that is on the table, الموجود على الطاولة. الذي يوجد يعني على الطاولة, because I'm going to use that as a connector just to show you. الذي يوجد على الطاولة contains, now يحتوي على حليب. Okay, guys? So this is really how. See, we don't need a separate subject here. Okay? Can you say the glass that it is on the table? No, because that refers to the glass. Okay? So it really is a subject in itself, and at the same time, it's a connector. Okay? Let's see what is said here by the TOEFL book explanation, okay? In the first example, this one over here, there are two clauses, right? Yes, there are two clauses. This one and this one. Woman here is the subject of the verb what is filling. The present continuous is filling. And that is the subject of the verb is, right? It's the subject and the connector. These two clauses, once we have two clauses, you have to always remember we need a connector, okay? These two clauses are joined with the connector that, this over here. So we consider it the connector between this clause and this clause, right? That, which is also a subject of the second clause, okay? Notice that in this example, the word that, what does it do? It serves two functions, right? It has two jobs at the same time. It is the subject of the verb is, so it's the subject of the verb is, and it is the connector that joins the two clauses. So it is what? A connector. It joins this clause and this clause, okay? The adjective clause, this is called an adjective clause. We know that, huh? That is on the table, describes the noun, the glass. So this adjective clause, what is its role? What is its job? It is here to describe the glass, okay? All right, let's move on to the second example. There are two clauses, glass. This, of course, the first clause is the glass contains milk, and the second clause is that is on the table, okay? So glass here, okay, is the subject of the verb what? Contains, right? And that is the subject of the verb is. That here is the subject of the verb is here, like this clause, okay? In this example, that also serves two functions. So that has two roles, two jobs, two functions. What is that? It is the subject of the verb is. That here is what? The subject of what the verb is. And it is the connector at the same time. It's a connector that joins the two clauses. Yes, it joins this clause, which is the glass contains milk, with that is on the table, you know, this clause, okay? Yeah. Guys, it doesn't matter how or when, just understand that when you have two clauses, we need a connector. No matter what kinds of clauses we are talking about. خلص مجرد ما نقول two clauses, there must be a connector. لابد أن يكون في أداة ربط سليمة. يعني يعني مناسبة, okay? Because that is on the table, is an adjective clause. This is what do we call it, an adjective clause. It describes the noun, what? Glass, this. It directly follows what? Glass, and it follows glass, this adjective clause, okay? I hope, guys, it wasn't that difficult for you, okay? So what I want you to think about here, I know it's a little bit tough, is that we have to think about the meaning, all right? We do have to think about the meaning here. So the following example shows how these sentence patterns, see, we're talking about sentence patterns, أنماط من الجمل, تراكيب مختلفة من الجمل باللغة الإنجليزية, okay? Could be tested in the structure section of the TOEFL. Look at this. Is on the table, so there's a verb here, and there's a verb here. And I don't see a connector. Do you see a connector? I don't. So we need a connector. But we also need a subject, okay? So where is the option that shows a subject and a connector? This is what we want to do, right, Dr. Amir?
Yes, دكتورة. Correct B answer B, the notebook which
Good.
أداة الربط which.
Yeah. So
يعني
I'm not
الدفتر
gonna mess you up in the exam. I'm going to be very, you know, let me say, careful not to mess you up. The goal really is for you to understand that when there are two clauses, we need a connector. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Amir. You did a good job. You were correct in your response and answer. So yes, the notebook. We need the notebook, which is on the table, because the notebook is the subject. Which is on the table is the adjective clause, where the connector itself is also the subject. Here it is, which. And then has is the verb, 4 sections. Okay, so الكتاب في الموجود على الطاولة فيه 4 sections. تعرفوا الدفاتر عفوا اللي بيكون فيها like 4 subjects 3 subjects. Okay, هيك قصدهم sections like subjects. All right, So الطالب ممكن يشتري this kind of notebook، هذا النوع من الدفتر، ويقسم لمواده الصيفي، مادة إنجليزي، مادة عسكري، مادة شريعة، I don't know. So different sections of the notebook, because they don't need like a big notebook for each course, right? Yeah. So in this example, you should notice immediately لازم نلاحظ مباشرة that the sentence has two verbs, this and this. We said this, right? And they are is and has, and each of them needs a subject. You know, each, when you have a verb, the verb needs a subject, and this verb also what needs a subject. Okay, so where are the subjects for these verbs? Okay, this is what we're looking for. So when we put, let's continue with here and what is explained, because I already explained in my method. All right. So it says here, you know, the table is not a subject. Of course, the table here is not a subject, all right? It's not, because it follows the preposition on. So table here is not a subject because it follows on. So this is like part of the prepositional phrase, just to let you know, okay? All right, so the subject should be somewhere here, huh? Has 4 sections, it's not the table has 4 sections, okay? We need something here that has 4 sections. What is it? It could be the notebook, it's true. But at the same time, we need to work on this over here, okay? That is over here. So where are we? Because it follows the preposition on, table is the object of the preposition, okay? Yeah, any noun that comes after a preposition, we call it object of preposition. The only answer that has 2 subjects is answer B. It has 2 subjects, right? This is the first subject, and this over here is a connector and a subject, all right? B, that is, so answer B is the correct answer. The correct sentence should say the notebook, which is on the table, has 4 sections. In this sentence, notebook is the subject of the verb has, right? Of what the verb has over here, okay? And which is the subject of what the verb is, because we're going to put it here, right? Which is also the connector that joins the 2 clauses. It is also what? This which is a connector that joins the 2 clauses, which are this one over here, which is the notebook, has 4 sections, and, you know, which is on the table, because we're talking about the notebook, which is on the table. All right. I hope that wasn't too hard on you. The following chart lists the adjective clause subjects, connector subjects. So they are connectors at the same time, subjects, and the sentence patterns used with them. Take a look at this. So sometimes the connector could be who for people. So we only have this with who, with which, with that, when they are, let me say, connectors for adjective clauses, okay? Where, you know, if these connectors are there, we can have, let me say them, these, let me say, connectors as both connectors and, you know, subject, okay? As you can see, adjective clause, connector, subject. So these are connectors that are also subjects at the same time. We don't need a separate subject with these, okay? She needs a second, so we can create sentence. Listen, guys, we can create sentences, with these connectors, that don't have a separate subject, but we can also create with them, sometimes sentences that have a separate subject, okay? So you can, I'm going to repeat this, with them, you can create sentences with a separate subject. And with them, you can create sentences, without a separate subject. They are the connector and the subject, just to let you know, okay? But of course, the meaning will differ. The meaning will differ. Like, listen to this sentence. I will say, okay, she needs a secretary. Listen to my sentence. She needs a secretary, that she can trust. That she can trust. يعني هي بحاجة لسكرتيرة ممكن تثق فيها. That she can trust. So I used the first style where I used that as a connector, but I did not also use it as a subject. I used it as a connector only. That she can trust. She here is the separate subject, okay? And then I said she can trust. Can trust is the verb of that, you know, adjective clause. Okay, let's see. But the same sentence, she needs a secretary. I can say not necessarily who, because that works for people, guys. I don't want to use who. Let me say she needs a secretary that trusts her, because I don't want to use types. I want to show you that I can use with the verb that I was talking about, which is trust. Trust تثق أو يثق. Okay, so she needs a secretary that trusts her, that types fast. So instead of who, we can say that, because look, that with people and things. Who only for people. Yani that is used for this, for things and for people. Which only for things, okay? Okay, guys? So that is like the most popular, because it could work for this and for that. So here, as you can see, the clause, the adjective clause that is used to describe secretary is what made up of, let me say, a connector, which is also the subject. And then, you know, normally, who, there's a verb, and, you know, after the verb, let me say there is an adverb. Types fast. How does she type fast? So we don't say this is an adjective. It's a kind of adjective, by the way, but I don't call it an adjective. Okay, it's an adverb. An adverb is like a description for the verb. يعني الكلمة اللي بستخدمها لأوصف الفعل what, because, you know, is called an adverb. How does she type? How do I know it is an adverb? I can ask a question like this about it. How does she type fast? Because I'm asking about typing. Typing معناها الطباعة, guys, all right? Yeah? What do you want to say, Shada? Dr. Shada, go ahead, please. Comment. Say what you like.
يعطيك العافية دكتورة.
أهلا.
هلا أنا عندي سؤال إذا سمحتي.
Go
هلا
ahead.
حكيتي الجملة الأولى she needs a secretary that she can trust. صحيحة. الجملة الثانية she needs a secretary that trusts her.
Yeah.
طيب أنا متى يعني أنا بدي أميز مثلا إنه هاي الجملة هيك بتكون صحيحة، متى لازم إنه أنا بالنسبة إلي الكونكتور هو بحل محل السبجكت، كونكتور وسبجكت بنفس الوقت.
I'm not going to يعني examine you in a way where I want you to make a mistake, you know, Dr. Shada, just so you know. يعني I can, of course, if I want to, but this is not my goal. Okay?
لا هي الفكرة لا مش إنه بس مشان امتحان، إنه الواحد يعني يكون مميز إنه
In
مثلا
general.
هاي الجملة هيك أفضل
Yes.
أحط كونكتور
You
مثلا.
have to know, I think I mentioned this a little bit to you, okay? I told you that most of the times it's with the verb to be that we have this, let me say, exclusion, or not by having a separate subject. And when the connector itself functions as a subject. This is why أصلا يعني we're not going to put a separate subject, because when I say who, the word who itself gives us the meaning of a subject. So listen to this. When you say she needs a secretary, this secretary, who refers to the secretary. Okay, so it's like it's also giving you the subject. Okay, so it is a connector, but it gives you the meaning of the subject. So you really have to understand the meaning a little bit here to understand. So who التي عائدة على مين? The secretary. So if I'm using who over here, if it means the noun, and you know, that means you're talking about that subject. Okay, this is what it means. Okay, so it refers to a human being, but at the same time, it's a connector. All right, I want you to sit down and think about this. So try to examine the sentences. You will notice every time you talk about the connector, when it's also a subject, it refers to something. So it's already covering the subject itself. It's not just, you know, wallahi, a connector that does not have two in one. It's like, you know, when you buy a Nescafe, think about this when I tell you, when you buy Nescafe and they say Nescafe creamer, but no sugar, just creamer and Nescafe. That's two in one. It's doing two jobs, okay? So think about it in that kind of way. Like, look at this next sentence. A secretary, we're going to go, is invaluable. Forget about this for a minute, okay?
Yes.
Just for a minute. A secretary is invaluable. يعني السكرتيرة لا تقدر بثمن. Invaluable, this is what it means. Be careful. Don't think it means the opposite, that it's bad or something like that, not valuable. No. Invaluable means لا تقدر بثمن. All right? يعني mostly for people who have a lot of work to do, somebody to type your work, to make to you know, provide you with deadlines, to organize your schedule, all right? So a secretary is invaluable, but not just any secretary. Because some secretaries, we wish they don't even exist, because you know what? The thing is that, you know, they are trouble. You know, they don't do work efficiently. They're not helpful, you know, stuff like that. But what kind of secretary am I talking about here? Oh, a secretary who refers to this noun that I'm going to describe. It's like the same thing. So why, when it's the same thing, you got it, Dr. Shada? When it's the same thing, then
دكتورة
why,
clear.
see, when it's different, when the subject is different, this is when you can have a separate subject. But when the subject is the same as the noun that I'm describing, okay, this is when you know, I don't put a separate subject, okay? Got it?
Mm,
When
got
it's
it.
the same,
Thank you.
sit down and think about this by yourself also, because you need to sit down and do that kind of, you know, let me say my work, or let me say the work that you have to do with you and yourself. I mean, sometimes, you know, just to understand this more, you know, you have to sit with yourself a little bit. Okay, so when the connector means the same thing that I'm describing, it has the same meaning. All right, who, a secretary, who, okay, well, who's who? Who am I talking about? The secretary. Okay, so why shall I also put she? Okay, okay, got the idea?
Okay.
Because see, it's gonna be redundant.
Yes.
A secretary
Yes.
who be, it's like, you know, you're repeating this over here in many ways, and it's completely wrong. But it's okay to say about the secretary who, because it's at the same time a connector, and it refers to the same, you know, let me say noun here. Okay, because I can also use this, you know, why did I say noun here? Because sometimes the noun that I'm describing is in the position of a subject. Sometimes the noun that I am describing is in the position of an object, right? Yeah, object of preposition, or object, you know, that is after a verb. Okay, so it's really not that hard. I just want you to think about the connector and how the connector means the same as the noun that it's, you know, that is followed by. Okay, if it's the same, no need for a separate subject. It's also the subject and the connector in that kind of way. And we will take some examples right now, and through examples things will become clearer and better. Examples are always methods to clarify. I love giving examples and discussing examples.
Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome. So who would like to take a look at the exercises now and help us with those? So we have, let's assign some people, some of you guys, to do these sentences, to work on them. Dr. Rami will be the first. Dr. Ahmed, the second. Dr. Shada, the third. Dr. Mahmoud, the fourth. Dr. Ru'a, the fifth. And who do I see? Dr. Maram, 6. How many sentences do we have? I don't know if I mentioned you all. Let's say Dr. Shada, 7.
Me,
Who are you, Dr. Sara?
Dr. Rabah,
Sara, okay. Dr. Sara, 8. Dr. Rabia, 9. And Dr. Who's going to do 10? We have anybody for 10? Let me take
Okay, me, doctor.
Who are you?
Lamis.
Okay, Dr. Lamis.
Lamis.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Let me listen to your work on these sentences.
Number 3.
Now we're going to start with
Can I
what?
choose number 3?
Well, okay. And we prefer that we go in order, but if you want to do number 3, I'm not going to say no to you. Go ahead, please. Go ahead, Dr. Rami. Hello? Do we have a problem, guys? Can you hear me? Because I don't know who's supposed to answer now. Dr. Rami was supposed to answer, but I don't hear him anymore. Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, doctor, we
Yeah,
hear you.
okay. Number 3. Who on the Dina's list? Okay, now.
Hello, Dr. Rami. Do I have a problem with the internet, or is it Dr. Rami, guys? Please help me just to understand.
No,
it's-
I think it's
Dr.
Dr.
Rami,
Ram
I think.
problems.
Okay, I just want to know it's that if it's me or
Doctor, yes, number 3.
go ahead.
Number 3, Doctora. Yeah, I have great respect for everyone who on the dean's list.
So what do you
It's
think?
incorrect.
Yeah. It's
I
incorrect.
think who on the dean's list, it's adjective clause. Yeah, it's adjective clause. But we
Yeah.
missing verb to be. Is.
Yeah, but
يعني the
one is
correct,
not
I have
verb-
great respect for
Yeah.
everyone who is in the dean's list.
Yes. So I have great respect for everyone. Okay, this is a correct sentence up to here. But everyone here, we want to describe everyone in a certain way by using an adjective clause. Everyone, we don't say who on the dean's list. Okay, we need to say who is on the dean's list. Okay, we cannot say who on the dean's list. All right. So this is not acceptable. All right. It's not acceptable because our lesson was about, you can reduce the connector, reduce a subject, but not, let me say a separate subject, but not reduce a verb. The verb is necessary. So they're repeating the same things that we have experienced when we talked about noun clauses. Remember when we talked about noun clauses? We said that we can reduce what? A separate subject where the connector is the subject itself, but not the verb. The verb is necessary. Right, Dr. Rami? So the meaning of the sentence is I have great respect. أنا بكن احترام كبير